So in this video, we're going to show you how to inspect and test a water temperature sensor on your front load washer. So in order to get at the temperature sensor on this type of machine, first thing we want to do is just remove the top. And to do that, on most machines, there's usually a couple of screws in the back that hold the top on, and you just remove those. They may be Phillips or they may have a 5/16 socket head on them, but whichever way they're attached, you just remove those couple of screws. Once those screws are removed, you're just going to take the top off. And in most cases, the tops just basically pull backwards, and then they're able to be lifted right up and out of the way. So now that the top is off, typically you're going to find your temperature sensor built into your inlet valve assembly. This inlet valve assembly, the sensor is actually located right here. There's just a single harness that goes onto the connector. So if you were looking to check the wiring for it, you would just remove it, and there's two prongs where it sticks up. And you would test this just with a multimeter. And to do that, I'm just going to reconnect that wire, and I'm going to use my multimeter to test on the end of the lead. So I'm just going to take my leads from the multimeter. There's two wires. Basically, it's one into the thermistor and one out. So with my meter, you can see we have a reading. Typically, thermistors at room temperature read about 1,000 ohms. So we're not far off. If you don't get any reading at all in doing this, then you know that temperature sensor is bad. But if you want to see the effect and how it works, I'm just going to, for example purposes, apply a little bit of heat to the area where that temperature sensor is, and you should see this reading change once it's being warmed up. So you can see that's starting to change as the heat's being applied. So if that was hot water starting to go through that valve, you would see that starting to change. And as I remove the heat, you'll see it go back into its original temperature setting. So that change in the thermistor, that change in the resistance, tells the control board what's happening as far as the water temperature goes. So that's how it's going to decide whether it needs to add more hot water or reduce the amount of hot water that's going into, say, a warm temperature selection. So that's how a thermistor, or transducer as it's also known, is working in your washer. And if you find you're having issues with water temperature not being correct or not getting hot water at all, it may be that transducer that's giving you the problem. On some machines, it's a separate component from the valve itself, but on the majority, it's built right into the valve so that if it is a problem, you have to change that inlet valve complete. So that's how you would test your water temperature sensor, or transducer as it's also known as.